I'm Ryan Davis,
And I'm Kieran Schmidt.
and this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
This seat taken. Hi, Rye.
Hey, Kieran, how are you?
Good. I really like the pitch you're hitting on that original high. It's right. It's fresh. It's bright. It's right. It really wakes you up when you put it in the earphones. And if you have your volume turned up too high, whoa, boy, howdy.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that we can fix in post. So I give you as much high as I can stomach, and then pull
Hi.
it back.
That's
Hi.
it. Hi. Yeah, it's very energetic.
Well, that's
I like
what I
it
do.
a lot.
That's what I do on conference calls. So hi, it's Ryan.
Now, Ryan, today we are tackling a very serious topic, which is getting through security at airports. And so we're going to talk about all the different options people have. You know, you have the regular option, then you've got the TSA Pre.
Wait. So this is not sneaking things through security at
No.
airports. No.
That's going to be the follow-up episode that we'll be doing past this. This is first earning the government's trust, you know, so it's sort of step one to sneaking things through.
Right. Okay.
And for all of those federal officials that are listening, that is a joke. We're just making jokes. This is about abiding by the law and security measures. We're going to investigate TSA Pre. We're going to talk about global pre-check. We're going to talk about a couple of programs I had never even heard of. And then we're going to talk about a young startup called Clear that is about getting people through faster.
That sounds really exciting. It's any way we can just expedite straight to the topic.
No, there's not. Before we take off and start really digging into security, we're gonna have to take a long, lingering line where we're behind the cords because we've got a listener question.
Oh, a listener question on the old mailbox.
Mailbox. Out of office pod at gmail.com. It did occur to me what you were thinking of was the Instagram at OOO podcast. We did a really bad job for two people who work in marketing, tying those together. So in our email, which is outofofficepod at gmail.com, where, by the way, we welcome listener questions, ideas for future shows, or just things you'd like to hear us talk about, please send them on in.
So what was the listener question we got this week?
So
Kieran?
this was from somebody named Nate. And Nate asked, what are some of the most exotic dishes you guys have tried?
Ooh.
Have you ever tried something daring and instantly regretted it?
Are those two separate questions, or
I
still
thought we
talking
could-
about exotic dishes?
They were tied together.
Okay.
So I thought we'd keep them together.
Sure.
And one does come to mind for me, just right off the top of my head, which was I was in Hue in Vietnam.
Mhm.
And there was a street food that was sort of like a pho. It was a soup with noodles and a lot of garnishes, as a lot of the street food is there.
Right.
And it came with coagulated pig's blood. And so sort of floating in the top are
Sure.
two little kind of jello-y cubes. And, they asked if we wanted them in there. And Catherine and I, both pretty adventurous eaters, said, yeah, let's plop them right in. We were going to have some coagulated pig's blood. And I just went full Anthony Bourdain and guzzled that baby down. And I bit and I let it linger on the tongue. And I experienced that flavor.
I mean, I've eaten a lot of pork in my day, so I'm sure that I've had pig's blood. What made this so weird?
I don't think you
It's
had it.
congealed?
I didn't say weird. I'm not casting judgment.
No. I didn't mean to use Twitter. I apologize.
Absolutely.
I meant to say
highly insensitive.
unique to my culinary experience.
Yeah,
is what I meant to
don't
say.
be
Yeah.
pig bloodist.
No.
I mean, what it was, I mean, you've cut your finger and sort of sucked on it for a second
Oh,
before,
yeah.
right?
Sure. Yeah.
And that like strong hit of iron,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that concentrated down and made into a jello cube. And so
Interesting.
it was a real iron explosion. It was like it was really not the flavor I can't say was terribly pleasant for me. But it wasn't unexpected. I mean,
Right.
it tasted like I think blood tastes.
Yeah. Well, that I feel like we must have an evolutionary rule built inside of us as humans
Not to eat blood.
not to eat blood. Like we just have like if blood's in your mouth, something's going on that isn't a great thing. Then again, I do love my steaks as rare as
Yeah,
humanly possible.
no, how about blood sausage? Have you ever had blood sausage?
I do not like blood sausage, but I've definitely had it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's evolutionarily, that means whole countries have gone beyond this distaste for blood because blood sausage is very popular.
Well, the UK has gotten everything wrong about food for generations, so
Yeah, no,
it doesn't
all right,
surprise
well,
me.
fair point, fair point. So that's probably the most exotic food, Nate, that I've ever gone after. I will while Ryan is giving his example, I'll keep going through my memory banks to see if I've got anything else.
Well, I've only got, I think, two that would really qualify. The first would be chapalinas,
Okay, what are those? I don't know what those are.
crickets.
Oh, okay, like a taco with crickets on it?
Yeah, like a
Yeah.
taco with crickets. I actually had a tostada with crickets. That was my first cricket experience. And
Are
if you,
crickets and grasshoppers the same? Is that the same thing?
I feel like I've Googled that before.
Well, what did it say?
I don't, close enough. Like,
I
they're
feel like
close enough.
they are the same,
Yeah.
right?
Are you eating a lot of grasshoppers in your diet over there in Boston?
I'm not. I haven't. I no. I don't eat grasshoppers, but
Yeah.
I would. The idea of insects doesn't bother me. However, I'm saying that, and I haven't. So
Yeah.
maybe I wouldn't.
I've read all the articles about how society, for us to solve our climate change problem,
Yes.
we need to switch to insects. And you know what? I don't know that I'm on board.
No, I think. I mean,
know.
bite into a tasty thorax. I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually bite into a tasty thorax is a pretty good pickup line.
I remember I once saw a cricket chips, and they were called chirps, which I thought
Oh,
was
that's very
cute.
cute.
Yeah,
Where was
yeah.
that? Was that also in Mexico?
No, that was just like in some weird health food store in the United States.
Well, so okay, so how did you find the experience?
If you just told me there was some kind of crunchy vegetable, or like I wouldn't have known that they were crickets. Knowing that they were crickets, I couldn't really get into enjoying it, but they were fine. I mean, I avoid cricket tacos now. Like, I don't get them because it's not something that I enjoy as much as like a taco pastor or something. But
Yeah, and were they pleasantly spiced?
yeah, no, they were as well prepared as a cricket could be. I think they were. It's just not something that I super enjoy. I've also done spider eggs,
Oh,
which
oh, I didn't even know that was a thing.
yeah, it's another thing that you can do in Mexico, and they call it Mexican caviar. Actually, spider eggs I prefer to crickets any day of the week. I will,
Really?
yeah, yeah, definitely,
They
definitely.
and are they? Is it like caviar or is it like fish eggs? Like
It doesn't have that same, like, the taste that caviar does,
yeah.
like that explosion in your mouth
Uh
that
huh.
that is so lovely, and
Uh huh.
you know, um, but it does it
What are you
is.
trying to say, Ryan?
I'm trying to say I prefer fish eggs to spider eggs. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
Sure, sure.
Um,
So you don't get the little flavor explosion, but what is it that you like about them?
I mean, I don't know. I like them better. I prefer spider eggs to crickets. I wouldn't go say so far as to say that I
Okay.
like them. Like, I'm out
Sure.
there every day going like,
Sure.
I need some spider eggs. But when you go to like a fine dining place in Mexico, they'll very often serve you some kind of like fungus that grows on a cactus.
Oh
And
yeah.
then, yeah,
Sure.
which is great. That stuff is
Oh,
delicious.
love a fungus.
I love a fungus. I mean, fungus. We eat fungi all the time, though, right?
Oh,
Like,
there are fungus among us, if
yes.
that's what you're trying to say.
100%. But the thing about spider eggs is, when you see a spider, you're not like, I wonder what that's leaving
Oh,
behind.
yeah.
I can
Yeah, and
nibble that up.
I don't see a spider and go, I bet those eggs are going to be nice and tasty.
Never think that. And then I guess the very last thing, and this was not gross at all, but is culturally for us very unusual, and that is horse. I've had horse tartare
wow.
in Montreal.
Okay, I was going to
Um,
guess in France, but sure. Same,
Yeah, well,
same difference.
Same difference. Is amazing place called Joe Beef. They should call themselves Joe Horse. But,
Sure, sure. Yeah,
and
that's weird. Do they
it was-
also serve beef and they
Oh, yeah,
happen to
yeah.
have some horse?
They serve all sorts of meats. It's like sort of an interesting meat place,
Sure, okay.
And the horse tartare was great. It didn't taste that different from a standard issue beef tartare. And in fact, it might have even been that they were just lying to us. So, but it was fine. I enjoyed it, and I enjoy telling people who love horses how much I enjoyed it. So
Yeah, no, I'm
makes
sure.
me a lot of friends.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't. I wouldn't. I would try horse. I don't love tartare in general, though. I would eat a horse burger if you wanted me to.
A horse burger?
Is
Yeah.
that a thing?
I'm sure it is. Why not? Bison burgers are great.
Oh, bison burger's the best. Better
Yeah,
than beef.
definitely better than beef.
I just want to loop back. Grasshoppers and crickets got a quick answer here. They do seem to come from the same order of animals,
I would be surprised if one was from a bird and one was
or
from a,
or Orthoptera. Some common differences. One, crickets have a long antenna. Grasshoppers have a short antenna. So that's probably good if you're eating grasshoppers, not getting as many antennas stuck in the teeth. You've got they both like to sing or stridulate, as it's called here on Amateur Entomologist Society's website. And this one is fascinating. Grasshoppers detect sound by means of little ears at the base of their abdomen, whereas crickets have their ears on the front of their legs. Both two unexpected ear areas.
yeah, not the kind of thing you notice when you're chewing them either. So
No, but they can really hear that chewing. Oh God, he's coming. So anyway, pretty interesting. Grasshoppers and crickets. And you said you ate grasshoppers or crickets?
crickets.
Oh, okay. Oh, I thought you said grasshoppers. All right. Well,
I think I've had like chocolate covered grasshoppers in my life. Does that sound like a thing?
I don't
that
know. I
exists?
remember there was a Saved by the Bell episode where they chocolate covered crickets because
Yeah.
Screech, they were trying to paint him as the weird guy, and that's what he was enjoying.
Trying to paint Screech as a weird guy. We could do a whole episode about that.
That's a
because-
different pod. There are Saved by the Bell podcasts out there. And the final bit was, have you ever regretted it? I haven't regretted it. I like trying new things, even if I don't like them. At least have the experience.
Yeah, I've never regretted. I can't say that I've regretted any of the food that I've tried that hasn't made me ill.
No, I think the only thing that would move me close to regret is if I've ordered something that's too hot. There are some countries where they make food that is so spicy, so incredibly peppery spicy. There's only been one, and over the years I've really built up a great tolerance for this, but there was one time at a restaurant in London. It was an Indian restaurant.
Wait, you got spicy food in India?
No. It was
Fair enough.
they
don't even use spices or flavors in British food.
It was your takes on London food are literally 2 decades old. They've got great cuisine now. But this was they have great Indian food in London, all over England.
Definitely.
And they brought this vegetable dish that was glowing orange. And it was so hot as you brought it to your lip, not heat-wise, spicy-wise.
Right.
That your whole lips just started to glow intensely. And I put the tiniest little dot on my tongue, and it was ungodly. I mean, pitchers of water, bread, everything I could think of.
Water doesn't help, though. You know that. Right?
Well, I learned that. That's correct. So besides food that is just so insanely hot, I don't regret.
Yeah, I've never encountered food that was too hot. That is not true. I'm lying to you. I ate at Mission Chinese in downtown New York. Probably like a year and a half ago, and I had some of the hottest food, and my mouth. Basically, it was like my mouth was in a coma. It just stopped all sensation. It was like my mouth just shut off. My brain was like, no need for that.
Yeah,
and
right.
I was like, will I ever taste again? But I did after an hour or so. I got back subtly got back some taste in my mouth.
Now, little known fact is that there is actually a scientific scale out there for how hot peppers and foods are. Do you know about this scale?
I mean, I feel like I've seen it on the back of hot sauce packets.
It's called
It's a little Taco Bell, like the little pepper goes up or down. I've never been to Taco Bell.
If you're at Taco Bell, I think it's is the toilet going to be this full or this full?
Oh, don't be anti-Taco Bell. That's
sorry.
ridiculous.
I don't want to get work blue. It's called the Scoville scale. Scoville, the Scoville scale. And if you're nervous about how spicy the food's going to be, Google it and see if you can find out what it is on the Scoville scale. But if you ask a waiter, I doubt they're going to be able to tell you how many Scovilles.
Yeah,
Scoville. Sorry, it's not Scovilles. It's Scoville heat units or shoes.
I can just imagine the food that you and I grew up on that our parents made was so low on that scale as to not be recognizable.
Meatloaf, sloppy joes.
But no spice, no,
I mean, I think you're probably
basically British cooking.
yeah. I mean, Taco Bell is probably the closest spiciness that I grew up with. Now,
Oof,
now,
oof.
now that I'm eating lovely Thai food, Chinese food,
Yeah,
Indian food.
yeah,
I mean, that stuff they bring the spice.
yeah, and all the Irish folks who prepare that for you in Boston, it's all very.
We got a great Chinatown up here in Boston. We
It's
do.
true. It's
It's
true. It's
wonderful.
true. Yeah.
All right, Ryan. Well, I hope we've answered Nate's questions. We've talked coagulated pig's blood, grasshoppers v crickets, spider eggs. I mean, what and Scoville scale. What more could you ask for? So keep
Great
on
answer.
sending those listener questions. But for now, I do think it's time to start talking about how to get through security at airports. So it's fitting that we take off.
Let's take off.
Tell the cabin crew.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff, please.
All right, Ryan. So today we're going to talk about all the different, what they call trusted traveler programs. Okay. So the ones that pretty much everyone knows about, TSA Pre and Global Entry. You've heard of those?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And of course, we've both had those. Because,
I don't have anything that we're going to talk about today.
wait, that's insane. You host a travel podcast.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't like to fill out forms, and so I think all of these involve forms. Some might involve office visits. So these are all. I'm the guy who flew to Brazil without a visa.
Whoa, hold on. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't think we've ever told that story on the pod. That's coming.
Yeah.
It's a great one. Let's just say you didn't see too much of Brazil, did you?
I did not. No.
So, wow. I mean, I'm really shocked because these are wonderful time savers. I will say, so I have, well, we'll talk about Global Entry gives you TSA Pre. So those are the same, the one program can cover the second. You can get TSA Pre on its own. You can get Global Entry separately.
So I could do Global Entry and be covered for TSA Pre.
Yes. And we'll talk quickly through the kind of major points on each one. But I have to ask, like, seriously, as a person who flies a lot, often you've said you're like running late and packing and getting to flights. How could you not have these? When you look at sometimes you get to the airport, there's 50 people in the regular security line. There's 5 people in the TSA Pre line.
There's no question that if I hadn't flown so much for work the last couple of years and gotten my Delta status, that I would have been compelled to get one of these. And my credit card even gives me, I think Amex will reimburse most of the fee, if not all of it. So it's literally my astonishing laziness that has prevented me from getting one of these. But maybe today will convince me. I mean, you can convince me to fill out this form and to go submit.
It's really, for what it's worth, it takes about 5 minutes to fill out this application.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I might do it.
And you waste a lot more time than that on this podcast. So
That's true.
We could do 5 minutes shorter on the next episode, and you can apply for TSA Pre.
Well, here's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and I will do this process, and then I will report back to our listeners about what it was like, and if it was less tedious than I thought it would be.
Quick, when you were saying about your flight status, you're saying because that allows you to board right when you get there, as opposed to that doesn't get you through security faster, right?
No. If you priority lane, you get to skip skip most of the line. I mean, there's always a little bit of a line of other folks.
Right.
Status,
Okay.
But the big scary line you see at JFK.
Yeah.
You can skip that.
Okay.
You still have to take your shoes off, so it's not like
okay. So you're not living large like me in the TSA Pre line. All right. So TSA Pre. Literally a 5-minute online application. But you do have to go in for an appointment. And they do a background check. They do fingerprints. I did my appointment out at LaGuardia, I think. And it doesn't take a huge amount of time. Pretty basic questions. And I think if anything comes up on your background check, they may ask you about it. But really, it's pretty straightforward. There's no age restriction. So you can be a child and have TSA Pre, but if you're under 12 and your parent has TSA Pre, you're also allowed to go in that line. But if you're
I don't know how I feel about that. There are a lot of sketchy 11-year-olds that can't just be sliding by on their parents' good name,
And also you have to pay $85 for the application fee. And so that's not inexpensive, frankly.
Yeah, so I had a friend who just got pre-check, but he didn't get it prior, not because of the $85 or because of the form, but because he went to Cuba before we were allowed to, and so had was not allowed to get pre-check for. I think it was a 5 or 6 year waiting period.
Huh.
So yeah, so if you've illicitly gone to Cuba, you got to be careful.
So pre-check, of course, allows you to expedite through the line. So usually it's smaller. Usually it's faster because people don't have to take off their shoes and you don't have to take electronics out of your bag. You do still have to take a coat off, which I always thought was kind of odd. You know, you'd think if you could trust my shoes, you can trust my coat, but no. And you just go simply through the metal detector, get through expedited. So once you get TSA Pre, you get what is called as a known traveler number, and when you buy your ticket, you put that in alongside with your credit card and name and all that other jazz, and then you will get a TSA Ryan, a joy you will never know, a TSA Pre on your ticket, and that gives you access to that special royalty lane. And what's really fun is as you walk by all the sort of plebes, you can scoff and show them your check mark on your ticket.
Yes, so I have been randomly given pre-check status on my ticket before.
I think you are mistaken.
No, I'm not.
You just said you don't have it.
I don't have it, but for whatever reason, occasionally the TSA will, on a flight by flight basis, give folks TSA pre-check, even if they don't have TSA pre-check. Which makes me wonder about, frankly, the validity
the whole
of the
system kind of falling down when you tell me that. That apparently is true, and I'm not. It seems to be random. I wonder whether it happens based on the rush at the airports at security lines. I wonder
that if that is true, then they are sacrificing security to get folks through that line. You know that I don't know. That makes it feel like security theater to me.
Security theater is funny. That's funny. Now, the other option that also gets you TSA Pre benefit is called Global Entry. Do you know Global Entry?
Yeah, I admire Global Entry so much when I'm literally getting off an international flight. And I just see those people just bounding through.
Yeah. So Global Entry, I could not recommend highly enough. And even if you only go abroad once a year, twice a year, if you are flying in from outside the U.S., it is worth getting Global Entry because you can be out of your plane into a taxi in about 15 minutes because it incorporates TSA Pre in it. But the special thing about it is you get to use a kiosk to check out of the airport, to go through customs, to come back into the United States. So it's a very similar process. You do an online application. You have to go again for an interview. And not again, hopefully. If you have TSA Pre, I mean, you shouldn't have applied for TSA Pre. Just apply for Global Entry. You'll get TSA Pre. And you have $85 for TSA Pre, as we said. Global Entry, $100. So, $15 more for that Global Entry, which gives you both.
So why would anyone get pre-check and not Global Entry? What would be the reason?
I mean, I guess if you don't have a passport, because TSA Pre, you're just traveling within the country, and if you're a frequent business traveler and you don't travel abroad, then I could see why bother with the $15.
I don't know. I find that hard to believe. There's a kind of guy out there, a gal out there who travels so often.
What would that gal's name be?
Joanne and Joanne Smith or something like that.
Joanna Sue?
Joanna Sue. Don't make fun of my roots.
He grew up in Maryland.
Eastern Shore. Look, there's somebody out there who is traveling so much they require TSA pre-check, but they don't leave the country ever. It just seems like maybe that person exists, but it seems to me we should really recommend to our listeners that they should just get this Global Entry.
Yeah, no, I totally recommend it. I do recommend it if you have the extra $15. If you think you might need Global Entry, it's a lot easier because how many times have you come back into the U.S.? You go through those the customs and airport control. Oh my God, those lines can be killer long.
Absolutely,
killer long.
Killer.
I'm like really scandalized that you don't have Global Entry, Ryan. Like this may be the source of what has held you back in life. Think of what you could have done with all that time.
So I when I fly back into JFK, which I do, I would say that's the airport I fly into internationally the most, 90% of the time. I use something called a mobile passport,
Mhm.
and this is an app that you download for your phone. It's
So an
free.
application? Is that what you wanted to say? So it's an application.
That's what kids call it. An
Yeah.
yeah, and it's called Mobile Passport,
Sure.
and it's the only app that is officially authorized by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. It's a very sexy app.
Yeah.
And you basically you download it, you enter your information in, and it pre-fills out in all that form that you would usually do
That
by
blue
hand.
form that they hand you?
Exactly.
Yep.
And it's got your picture and it's got your passport information, and you can go through the same. You go through basically the same process that global entry folks do. You just have to show your phone. So I've whenever I fly into JFK, which I said is most of the time, I skip that line entirely using my mobile.
Your mobile. Yeah, yeah.
passport.
That's a good workaround. And does that cost any money?
No, free, and you can download it when you land. You don't even have to have it before you.
Right.
Yeah. So again, I don't know how this is secure, but it works.
And what
so.
you want to do at Mobile Passport too is you have to fill out that form right when you get back on connectivity when you hit the ground. So as you're taxiing to the gate,
Yeah.
that's when you want to fill it out and be ready once you hit the line to exit the airport.
Totally, yeah. When I land, it's one of the first thing I do when I get back. Internet is to fill out that form real quick and have it ready to go, so I can just.
I mean, that form
fly
is a
right through.
nightmare, that customs form. They hand it out as you're coming into the country, all those blue forms. And a lot of airlines will tell you wrongly that you have to fill it out. If you have global entry or if you have that mobile passport, you do not need to fill out that blue form. I mean, it's crazy to me that we still have blue forms that require pens and nobody has a pen. The airlines never give out a pen.
Now, if you're flying to another country,
You got to fill that out.
you got to fill that.
That's
out.
an
Yeah, this is
important
just
point.
returning to
All
the
of
United
that's
States.
right. All
Yeah.
of this is U.S. specific. However, Ryan, super, super interesting is that global entry, non-U.S. citizens are allowed to apply for it. Not everybody.
Right.
So guess who are allowed? You don't have to guess. There's a lot of countries. I'll just tell you.
The EU and
Not even the whole EU. If you are a citizen of the Netherlands and you've already been enrolled in what they call the Flux program there, if you are Korean and you already participate in the Smart Entry service, and citizens of Germany, Panama, and Mexico can also apply for global entry. So, so we got Netherlands, Korea, Germany, Panama, and Mexico. I have to say, I've been looking at that list trying to figure out what the through line is, but
and that's South Korea.
well, yeah,
I just want to
yeah, South Korea.
Yeah,
Sorry, you're right. You're right. South Korea.
We haven't normalized relations with the North enough to
No,
have
and
this
it's important.
program.
When I see the number of downloads we're getting in North Korea, I mean, I don't know if we put out some podcast praising our dear leader, but my God, I mean, it's just spiking. We're huge in North Korea.
We're huge in North Korea.
Another cool feature of global entry is that if you are somebody who goes to a couple specific countries that I've already named, you can actually go through their expedited system. So if you're a U.S. citizen who already holds global entry, you can apply for the Dutch Flux program, the South Korean SES program, Panama's Global Pass, and the Mexican Viajero Confiable program. Which, Ryan, I mean, that again, right up your alley.
Yeah, that sounds like a great program. I would get behind that.
I mean, that's pretty cool that you can get expedited even into other countries.
Now, do you know that I have been put on the no-fly list?
Is that right?
Yes.
Is it because of that time you were working for that vape company? That's real, folks. Google it. You can Google it. There's some YouTube videos you should all check out.
So, no. This was after I took a trip a couple years ago to Eastern Europe, and I sort of had I bought all these like one-way flights, and I actually flew into the United States from Romania on a one-way flight. And it was on that flight that I got flagged this like weird thing on my ticket. And I was like pulled aside.
Was it like a giant black X?
Kind of was.
Like Treasure Island?
And they made me, I had to go through this whole kind of process, conversation where I had to talk about my travels. And then for the next several domestic flights I took, I had this weird thing on my ticket where I was like pulled aside and in security, it was incredibly weird. I was like pulled aside and
Do you
spoken
have any
to.
idea why?
It gets again. It's sort of like the TSA pre-check random. You can randomly be put on the no-fly list
Oh,
temporarily
that's terrifying.
if you have if your like flight buying patterns matches some weird
Oh,
algorithmic thing. So
yeah.
and I guess that includes a lot of one-way tickets to shaky shaky Eastern
Shaky
European
Eastern
countries.
European democracies.
Right. So
um,
I hope that doesn't complicate my my process here to get global entry.
I also did have a friend whose name was on the no-fly list, and it was because there was somebody else out there, a nefarious actor, who shared the same name. So,
That's your friend John Bin Laden?
yeah, but don't worry, he's in the clear now. He's in the clear now. Speaking of in the clear now, this is the
Uh-oh.
perfect transition to our very last program that I want to talk about, and this is called Clear. You may have seen it popping up at airports recently, Ryan. Have you ever seen this? It's called Clear.
I have, and I've never understood the use case. Like, it's like, if you don't want to get global entry, you can get this other thing that works at 1/4 of the airports.
Yeah. So, okay, right. So, okay, I can tell you what the company's thing. So, this is a private company that gives you expedited passage through security, much like pre-check. But it's not pre-check. So Clear is a private company that is a lot like PreCheck, but I think that they're capitalizing on two things, which I understand where your questions come from, Ryan. The first is that they've noticed that tons of people have PreCheck now. So those lines, they used to be a lot shorter than they are now. I still think they're faster, but this is Clear is for people who are looking for even shorter lines. So if you don't want to wait behind 10 people, you want to just walk straight through. Not a lot of people have Clear right now. The second, and this part I think it really interesting, is that Clear is not just based at airports. They're also working at getting locations in big sports stadiums and performance venues. So other places where slow security lines exist, you can use a Clear pass to get through there as well if you are enrolled.
So this is basically a way for folks with money and time to never have to wait in any kind of line whatsoever.
Yeah,
That's Clear's vision.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very clear.
Yeah.
And so Clear lets you go through. Basically, you use biometric markers. So where TSA Clear, you still have to take your license out. You still have to verify who you are. Clear uses your fingerprints and an iris scan. So it's very futuristic, very sexy.
Right. So Clear's basically Gattaca for lines.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, actually, Clear, you can take that. One thing that makes me very uncomfortable with Clear is that they have a button when you're applying that it says "Get Clear," and it just keeps bringing me back to Scientology. Yeah, it's all the you're aspiring to become clear.
That seems to me like a trademark violation that Scientology should look into.
They're
litigious if they're anything.
Yeah, if I know anything about them, they are already on it. I think probably the thing that holds us back the most about endorsing Clear right now, as you say, Ryan, is that it's not available in a lot of places. So they are right now in 40 airports, stadiums, or performance venues.
I have never seen Clear at a performance venue or a stadium. And granted, I haven't been to a stadium.
I was going to say, apparently you're not
35 years.
You're not going to Yankee Stadium or Citi Field, both of which have Clear.
I have been to Yankee Stadium to see both Garth Brooks and Jay-Z. And for neither of those did I see a Clear line. At least not in the lines I was going.
I mean, Clear, I will say they've prioritized very high traffic airports, and so they're in JFK, they're in LaGuardia. I was in Ronald Reagan Airport, National Airport in Washington D.C.
You mean DCA? I don't call that Ronald Reagan Airport.
I mean, listen, next to the current administration, Reagan
Unbelievable.
seems like an archangel. So they've done a good job at getting in airports that you'd find yourself going through pretty often. But they are in the U.S. and I think Clear could reach a tipping point, but right now it's just not there. I think the fact that they use biometric tools, that's pretty cool, and I think that sort of technology will grow. So I'm keeping my eye on it. I'm not quite there yet. Global entry does what I need right now. Pre-check isn't so often packed that it's stopping me. But Clear has its places, and if you go to stadiums and sports, well, maybe you should consider it.
So listening to you describe Clear, thinking about the use cases, I think I would pay upwards of $100 a year for Clear. What is it going to run me?
Well, upwards of $100 a year. Now that the price is actually prohibitively high. Global Entry you get for 5 years for $100.
Right. But
Clear.
you can't use it at the Yankees, and you and I are just always at the
huge,
Yankees.
love going out.
Every week.
Gotta-
Is that how they have them weekly?
Yeah,
I guess.
you gotta smack that leather as
hit the old ball field.
Yeah, you gotta hit the ball field, as we say.
Yeah.
However, if they had Clear admissions into Broadway musicals, Ryan and I would be
my
like,
God.
"How much? Can we just keep giving you money?"
Yeah.
So it is. So it's $179 a year.
Wow.
Which is pretty steep. However, for family members, you can add additional family members to that 179 account for $50 per year. So it's still pretty cheap. Children under.
I mean, if you're like the Waltons, that's going to add up. That's like a family of 13. That could get very expensive.
I do not know that reference. What year was something called the Waltons on? Oh my God. Are we talking like early 80s? Is that?
No, it's the 70s. It's a solid 70s show,
Oh my
isn't it?
God.
Yeah.
Children under 18 can get Clear with their parents for free. Listen, it's pretty steep. That is really steep. You got to really be traveling a lot and really not want to wait in the TSA Pre line. But if that's what rings your bell, go to it.
And to be fair, and I don't know what this says about how well Clear is doing. I've never seen a person in the Clear line before. So
maybe that just means it's incredibly expedited.
Yeah.
I know people who have signed up for it because they were running incredibly late for a flight, and they knew that there was going to be it was a popular time at airports, so they applied and paid online, and then when they arrived, they did the biometric scanning stuff, which apparently can be done very quickly, and you can just get right on.
And they can approve you that quickly. They can run the background check and stuff that quickly. I'm a little I think that all this stuff is great. But it does seem to imply that something about the security situation is people don't take it seriously if you can,
it's so
it's like I gotta go through this security line. Well, no, do you have $70? Yeah. Here, skip right ahead. Don't bother with security.
Yeah, because that's not how the entire world works. Having more money just gets you through quicker and easier. Yeah, that's not the entire universe.
Let's hope that no prospective airplane bomber can come up with $75 to get on the flight. Let's hope.
We've walked through TSA Pre, Global Entry, Mobile Passport, and Clear. And, Ryan and I both think Global Entry, if you're considering TSA Pre, spring for the Global Entry because you get it plus some more. Mobile Passport, no reason not to do. If you don't have Global Entry, download that baby. It's a great application that Ryan loves. He calls it an application because he was born in the 1970s. Born in the 1950s if he was already watching the Waltons. Big Waltons fan.
I love the Waltons. Watched it as a kid.
And we think that Clear probably has some ways to go. And frankly, I judge the price point as a little high.
Yeah, well, it comes with an eye that you can use for the retina scan. That's what.
I forgot the additional eye. All right, Ryan. Well, I'm interested to check in. Do you think you'll get Global Entry?
I'm going to apply for Global Entry and keep you all up to date on my status on the pod.
Fantastic. I look forward to hearing how the interview goes and whether that blacklisting keeps you from being. You will be the first person I know who doesn't get approved for Global Entry.
I'm the only person I know who in Northern Ireland got pulled aside and said, Ryan Davis, that doesn't sound like an American name.
That's funny. See, you got to fly into Boston. Then they're like, oh, okay, it's just another Irish name. All right, Ryan. Well, with that, I think it's time for the last stop.
The last stop.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the last stop on this train. Everyone, please leave the train.
Ryan, do I recall correctly? The last stop's your favorite one of our segments?
I think it is the best segment, hands down. No question.
It's because it's almost the end of the show. I can see you're already like holding a beer.
I'm about to open the bottle of wine as we speak.
So the last stop is our favorite segment every week, both of ours, not just Ryan's, mine as well. And it's where Ryan and I each discuss one thing that we've eaten or read or experienced or smelt that week that keeps the spirit of travel alive within us, really feeds that wanderlust during our workaday weeks when we're not able to be out there on planes, being tourists, enjoying the world. So, Ryan, what's your last stop this week?
So I want to talk about an immersive theater experience.
Of course you do.
That well, I love immersive theater. I
Listen,
prefer it.
listen. I'm just happy you're not talking about Diego Rivera. Okay, so go ahead, go nuts.
This is an immersive theater experience that I had here in New York, and typically I have to leave my neighborhood to do this, but not this week. Last week, my good friend Nathan and I went to this new play called Bleach. And Bleach is a play that transferred from London. It played in London for a few months, and it's here in New York and into the middle of March. And basically, it's a one man show that takes place in a basement in Bushwick. And the basement is like a studio apartment, and the entire show only seats 10 people, and it is about a gay hookup. And you kind of walk into this basement. I mean, it feels like you're going on a real hookup.
I
It's
don't know,
immersive.
but okay.
And you go down in this basement and you knock and you kind of get let in. And it's basically this one man show where this guy kind of tells various stories. They get kind of dark because it's theater, and it's not theater unless it's dark. Um, but it was a really interesting experience because typically these things are kind of meant to be spooky or meant to be a little like surreal.
Mhm.
But this was kind of grounded in like a kind of gritty reality that was sort of interesting. The play itself isn't any good, and I don't want to pretend that it is. Um, but I think that this is going to lead to like a really kind of micro. I'm going to call it micro theater
Oh
because like
my
we're talking,
god.
uh, we're
Okay.
talking, we're talking audiences of like 10 people. So we were like incredibly, you know, the audience is part of the show. No matter what, you're looking at people in the audience because like you're seated around this guy's apartment.
Yeah, actually, that's pretty appealing because one thing that I didn't like about Sleep No More is just it is very crowded. I mean, there's a ton. You're contending with a ton of people to try to see things, get room to room. So I understand the appeal, but surely the tickets would have to be quite expensive to make that work, right?
Yeah, the tickets are. I mean, they're $50. This is
Oh,
this
that's
is
not
off.
really.
No, it's off. Off Broadway. And it's obviously there's no. It doesn't cost anything for them to do. It's not like the set has a helicopter that lands on it or a big chandelier that falls. It's a crappy studio apartment in Bushwick, of which there are infinite to stage your show
Sure.
in.
Yeah.
Um, but it does. I think it is interesting because it kind of lowers the bar for like, participation in sort of environmental immersive theater. And we'll post a pic of the set on the Instagram. But I'm anxious to see kind of what people might do that is. I think you still have to focus on writing something that's really compelling.
Mm.
But that wasn't this. But I do think that there's real opportunities to do kind of cooler stuff. So Bleach, it's playing in Bushwick. We'll link to it, but I think there's going to be a lot more cool stuff happening this year.
So you think that the trend you're predicting is smaller immersive theater productions?
Exactly, and you mentioned Sleep No More. Sleep No More is grand. I mean, it takes
Yeah.
place
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a hotel, and
Right.
part of the fun is that you're exploring this massive space. But this is a much smaller experience. It's almost like an escape room.
I was just about to say, it really reminds me of an escape room, which is
Now,
like they can do super great detail because it's a tight space with a small group.
right, but the worst thing about it is, okay, that the second the show starts, there's no way that you're gonna be able to get up and leave. There's no intermission. If you can't you'd be literally walking through the man telling his story if you tried to leave.
Right,
If
right.
there's only 10 people there, they're gonna notice if 2 people get up and leave. So you're committed then to that experience, and that is something that I'm not nuts about. And they asked us when we walked in, they're like, "Do you want to be touched or not touched
Oh.
for this performance?"
Oh
And if you
boy.
said no, they gave you these little stickers that they put on you to let the performer know not to touch this person. So and that is I've never been asked that at a show before. So yeah,
That is really something.
yeah. I said 100% touched. So
What? Just please.
I'm like, what sticker do I wear to call me out as?
Please touch. Wow. Oh boy. Well, to get to a much safer territory than that. So my last stop is a book. I'm reading a biography of Theodore Roosevelt. We're both sticking to the greatest hits, everything we're known for. Reading a biography of Theodore Roosevelt, and it's talking about how his father used to pack up the family and would take them on sort of grand tour trips where they would travel for literally 9 months to a
Right.
year.
Same. That reminds me of my
Yeah,
childhood.
yeah, really brings me back. I mean, he grew up such a privileged person. That really comes through. But it got me thinking about sort of the grand tour, the idea of the grand tour that, sort of gentry used to take. And that's what they considered your formal education. You might not go to public schools, you might have private tutors, but when you were a kid, you would still go out, you'd be shipped around and you would hit England and France and Italy and Germany and Austria, and you would stay in all these places for like weeks and weeks at a time. This wasn't the way we travel today. And it just made me appreciate, later in life, he was able to read and speak German. He could get by in Italian. He could get by, I think he could read Spanish. And, I really don't think that we have anything even close to that sort of immersive educational experience
Right.
in today's like typical public high school.
No, I mean, we have as far away from that sort of experiences as you could imagine, right? I mean, when I was a kid, we took a handful of we would definitely take school trips, but they were places like Busch Gardens. They were to amusement parks.
Right. Like a physics teacher would be like, "No, I'm going to teach him about physics at the theme park."
Right. Yeah. I mean, they didn't even pretend that these were like educational experiences. Although we did go to the Baltimore Aquarium like 1,000 times because that was like the closest, of the closest thing we could go to as kids. They put us on a bus and take us to see the whale.
So anyway, I just thought, it really got me thinking about how that is such a missing piece of education in America today to make people appreciate the sort of cultural experiences that you can have overseas. And of course, that's what the solution for that is. I don't know. I do think we could do a better job at language education. I think language education should include some cultural immersion, and certainly you could get native speakers to come and to act as teachers, which I think often you don't have somebody who's lived and they've studied French in an academic setting, then they majored in French in college, and now they're a French teacher. I think that that sort of use of language instruction for cultural instruction is something we could do better.
I think that my Spanish teachers when I was a kid, half of them probably didn't even speak Spanish.
As their shining peer Ryan Davis shows, that's probably true.
Yeah. So, I wonder when AOC talks about free college for all. Do you think she also means like a free gap
A semester
year
abroad?
No.
Oh, you want a full gap year?
A semester? That's neoliberal. We're talking about a full gap year. A good socialist year.
I don't think that AOC has announced that, but I have a feeling that if you write that into Bernie, you can probably get it in the platform.
Yeah, Bernie will say 1 year of the USSR. Just a nice year there.
All right, Ryan. Well, what are we talking about next week?
You're going to unpack one of your favorite trips that you've taken recently, right? I'm going to get to sit back and enjoy and just sort of travel along with you. Where are we going?
That's right. We're going to do one of our patented, highly anticipated location spotlights. We've done Iceland. We've done Mexico City. Next time, buckle in, folks. It's going to be a long flight. We are going to Bhutan.
Bhutan?
The Himalayan kingdom.
Well, I am so excited to travel with you to Bhutan, Kieran. I'm going to use my little global entry and slide right in and,
So tune in next week for Get Your Butt to Bhutan. We're not going to call it that.
Tune in next week when we're going to explore Bhutan with all of Kieran's recommendations. Until then, I'm Ryan Davis.
I've really struggled with the name. I keep coming back to that Pussycat Dolls song, Loosen Up My Buttons, Baby. Is there like a Loosen Up My Boutons, Baby? I don't think it works.
I don't think that we can do that.
All right. Well, tune in next week for a trip to Bhutan.
Until next week, I'm Ryan Davis.
And I'm Kieran Schmidt.
And this is Out of Office, a travel podcast.
The seat taken.